Okay, hello everyone. We are going to start with the first lesson of this year, that is Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Quite an interesting one it is. Let us know about the playwright. William Shakespeare, the time period was from 1564 to 1616. Quite a well known poet and dramatist. Okay, he was also known as the Bard of Avon. Avon was the place where he belonged to, and because of all his literary works, he was known as the Bard of Avon. Then Shakespeare's plays can be classified into three broad categories. One is comedy. The ones which have a happy ending are the ones known as comedies. The ones which have a sad ending are the ones known as tragedies, and the third one are the historical plays. Just a gist about the play here. This lesson that you have, or it is actually an extract from the play, and two extracts taken. The play is set in Verona, a city in Italy which is famous for Romeo and Juliet. Okay, the story has these two rival families, Montagues and Capulets. So, Juliet belonged to the family of Capulets, and Romeo belonged to the family of Montagues. These were rival families, staunch rivals of each other. The protagonists, as I told you, protagonists are the main characters of the play. Romeo and Juliet, as the title of the play suggests, Romeo and Juliet are the main protagonists, that is, the main characters of the play. Then the genre of this play it's a romantic tragedy. All of you know about the story, and it was a tragedy because it had a sad ending, but it has a lot of things to do about the feelings of these two individuals, these two people involved, that is Romeo and Juliet, and you get a glimpse of these characters here. The first extract is from Act 1, Scene 5, and those are the lines of Romeo. Okay, the background of Act 1, Scene 5, you should know what makes Romeo speak these lines, because Romeo happens to, he intends to visit the feast to meet Rosaline. That was the basic reason why Romeo went to attend a feast. Romeo attends the feast. That is actually a feast thrown by the Capulets, the rival family, and because Romeo belonged to the family of Montagues, so he was not allowed to attend that. The basic intention of Romeo to go to the feast was to meet Rosaline, who was the cousin of Juliet. Now, because Romeo wanted to meet her, so he had to attend the feast in disguise. That is how the story begins, and that is, Rosaline was initially the love interest of Romeo. Romeo wanted to see her, and that's why he went to the party in disguise. Now, instead of initially he wanted to meet Rosaline, but as soon as he goes there, he happens to set his eyes on Juliet, and that brings about these instant feelings of love in his mind, and he gets so mesmerized by Juliet's beauty that he goes on singing praises in about her beauty. Well, he feels so taken up by the presence of that beautiful lady that he finds the lines here express his implicit feelings. It means the feelings that he had never felt before and never spoken of before. So the lines are, the first one goes, "Oh, she doth teach the torches to burn bright." Okay, he says, "Oh, she doth teach the torches to burn bright." Doth means she does. She teaches the torches to burn bright. Here, the phrase "teach the torches" has been highlighted in red because they express alliteration. They are about a figure of speech, that is alliteration, where the very first syllable or the sound is repeated in all the three letters, in all the three words. Sorry. And that is where it is. The line here means that he wants to epitomize Juliet's beauty to such an extent that she has such a dazzling appearance. She is so beautiful, she is so bright and shiny, her whole presence is such that she seems to be teaching the torches to burn bright. The torches, which are supposed to be the source of light, seem to be drawing inspiration from Juliet's beauty as she is so beautiful. You can look at the pic here and relate to it. The next line says, "It seems she hangs upon the cheek of night." Okay, now it seems she hangs upon the cheek of night. Again, the phrase "cheek of night" has been highlighted here. The whole sentence here has been used metaphorically. It means that Juliet seems to be hanging upon the cheek of night. Now, Juliet has been metaphorically compared or spoken of as the moon, just as the moon hangs upon the cheek of night. As I said, the whole sentence has been metaphorically used as cheek of night being nothing else but the sky. Okay, so Juliet's presence there is just like the moon as it hangs upon the sky. Now, cheek of night again is a personification because night, being an inanimate thing, has been treated as something which is related to human beings as cheek. Okay, so having cheek means that it has been treated as something which is in flesh and blood, so that is why we call it a personification here. As a rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear. The whole line here, it represents or it speaks about simile. Now that's a direct comparison. Juliet has been compared to a rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear. An Ethiop is an African. Okay, so you can understand the sharp contrast between an Ethiop and a rich jewel. As being used here, it clarifies the use of simile. And Ethiop's skin tone is dark, as all of you know how the African skin tone is. So an African lady wearing a bright jewel or an ornament, how beautifully or how much of a sharp contrast would that jewel create in the against the background of that dark skinned lady. So in that same manner, Juliet's presence stands out amongst the rest, just as a jewel hanging in the ear of an African lady with a dark skin tone would. So the rest present over there are all dull, but Juliet is the only bright thing over there. Now, beauty too rich for use, for earth too dear. Here Shakespeare says that according to Romeo, Juliet is so beautiful that her beauty is something which is not, which the creator doesn't create such beautiful things or such beautiful creations quite often, and her beauty is too dear, meaning to say is precious. And where it is too rich for use when he says that it is something which needs to be preserved, as you don't find it quite often. You are not able to set eyes on such beautiful things quite often in life. So that is what Romeo means to say here. So shows a snowy dove trooping with crows, as yonder lady o'er her fellows shows. Now, here again, another example of simile, where he says that Juliet seems like a snowy dove. So shows a snowy dove, meaning to say that a dove which is as white as snow stands out in a, a gathering, or in a group of crows. Group of crows is actually has a word for it, that is a murder of crows, right? So there, Juliet, she stands out amongst the rest like a dove would amongst crows, and everyone, Romeo literally refers to everyone as crows in front of Juliet, and she is the only dove present over there, as she is so white, so beautiful, so lustrous is what can be used here. As yonder lady o'er her fellows shows, yonder means the lady standing over there, she shows, outshines amongst all the people around her. The measure done, I'll watch her place of stand, is what Romeo says next. The measure done here refers to the dance that she was participating in, and she was there. So he refers to the dance. Measure done means the dance when it gets completed, when she's done with that, he would see where she takes a place, where she stands after that. He would watch her place of stand, and touching hers make blessed my rude hand. And he further, that's his wish, that Romeo wants to touch her hand and bless his rude hands. He feels that Juliet is such divine a creature, I mean she's so divine in her beauty, that he finds himself rude or a very simple human being, that he needs to touch her hand to make himself feel blessed in her presence. So that's what his wish is, and that is what he wants to say here. Okay, did my heart love till now? Here, this particular question it speaks about the introspection that Romeo goes through. He introspects himself. As we know, as I told you, the background of Act 1, Scene 5, where the basic intention initially of Romeo's was to see or meet Rosaline. He did not even think of Juliet at that moment. So after looking at Juliet, his mindset or his feelings completely get changed, and he starts singing praises of Juliet's beauty. So here he seems to be questioning himself, that did my heart love till now? Did he ever feel true love till this moment before setting his eyes on Juliet, is what he tries to question himself. Forswear it, sighed, and after that he resolves. Forswear means that he takes up almost an oath. He resolves that he would not set his eyes again, he would not let his sight venture towards anything else except Juliet, because for I never saw true beauty till this night. He says that he feels that before seeing Juliet, he realizes that he had never seen true beauty in its best form, or in this way as he saw Juliet before ever in his life. So that is all that he wants to say in these lines. Okay, the next are these lines by Juliet, which are going to be continued in the next class. Thank you.